101. The Source of Law. Chalcedon Position Paper number 198, March 1996. The Enlightenment saw itself as the source of light and liberation because it replaced the priority of religion and the church with the rule of reason and the state. The long night of superstition it held to be ended by the shift of civilization to a secular basis. Before long, an emptiness set in. The English Enlightenment figures had seen many of their hopes realized after the Glorious Revolution of 1688. So, with them, disillusionment set in earlier than on the continent. The leaders of thought tended to become very corpulent because, for them, little meaning remained other than physical satisfaction. Garth and Fenton, Edmund W. Goss tells us in Grey, became fat and could not be persuaded to get out of bed. Swift, Thompson, and Gray were marked by physical and mental decay. The joy of life was waning for many. In France, the Marquis de Sade pushed the logic of the Enlightenment to its bitter end. God had been displaced by nature and natural law. Sade held that without God, there could be no law nor morality. The natural sphere makes evil legitimate because murder, theft, rape, sodomy, incest, prostitution, bestiality, and all other offences are natural. In a natural law order, no law nor morality can exist because the natural is alien to them. Law and morality are alien because they represent a supernatural imposition on the natural. The universe, for Sade, has no God nor law, and no society can justify reasonably any law except nature. And nature leads us to what Christianity falsely calls sin. For Sade, the worst mania was religion, Christianity in particular, not sexual mania. Christianity regards the natural as fallen, whereas for Sade, the natural is normative. Because for Sade there is no God, or if he exists, he must be disobeyed and warred against. Ultimacy for Sade resided in nature, which in origin was chaos. If chaos be ultimate, then the revitalizing force in society is chaos. Christian revivalism recalls people to God and to Christ because the creator and maker of all things is the triune God. If, however, chaos is ultimate, then the true revival meeting is a sexual orgy, a saturnalia, a massive tide of promiscuity and sexual, quote, freedom, end quote. The acts prescribed by Christianity must be legalized, that is, promiscuity, abortion, homosexuality, bestiality, necrophilia, and more. Sadean man sees Christianity and its moral order as stultifying, and its own sexual program as liberating. Both positions are logical. If God be God, the living God, and the Bible is his infallible word, then personal and social revivification require that God's law govern man, and that man seek regeneration for his fallen and sinful estate through Christ and his atonement. Fallen man is held to be dead in his sins and trespasses, and therefore incapable of self-renewal and self-salvation. Neither man nor society can then be renewed apart from Christ's atonement and regenerating grace. This means that the doctrine of creation as an act and not a process, as something done by God's fiat word in 6 days, requires that man look to God and not to nature. Nature does not exist per se, but is a collective noun applied to God's creation. Nature, like man, is fallen, and the whole order, instead of being normative, is in need of redemption. As one man has stated it, nature does not lead to chastity, it is Christian faith that does. The consistent Christian thus cannot see either nature or the fallen political realm of the state as capable of giving us valid law. Their direction is anti-God, and they express a hatred of God and His law. To affirm the ultimacy of chaos in any fashion is to enthrone chaos in every sphere. We now have scientists who see chaos as a source of order. Their account of the universe, of multiverse, holds that random conditions of order are a natural product of chaos. Their theory is an evasion of the fact of cosmic order. Within the Church, the infiltration of the Hegelian Darwinian mythology has had devastating consequences. Too many churchmen have surrendered and either adopted the evolutionary myth or else compromised with ideas of theistic evolution and the like. All such thinking represents process philosophy. It means, above all, that God, being at least compromised as the creator and maker of all things, is also not the lawgiver. What has priority also has determining power. If nature is our source, then nature gives us our law. But if chaos is our point of origin, then chaos is the determiner, and the state, when assuming the power to make law, holds that it is our bulwark against disintegration. The state, thus, is, for modern man, the source of order. The state, however, has a problem, because the modern state is not Christian, and it affirms in its state schools the myth of evolution, and therefore the priority of chaos. The modern state is to some degree implicitly anti-Christian, even where an establishment of the Church exists. The state needs order, but, by its humanistic premises, must oppose Christianity and its insistence on God's order and law. The modern state has established evolution as its official faith, and it thereby encourages anti-law, Sadean man. It is thus in the unhappy position of establishing disorder and lawlessness. Meanwhile, the churches, by their compromise on the doctrine of creation, have made themselves irrelevant. They have become radically antinomian. Their antinomian thinking reduces God from his throne of rule to an advisory chair. Because God is no longer stressed as the absolute creator of all things in heaven and earth, he is therefore not the predestinator nor the lawgiver, but simply a kindly spiritual advisor. Quote, spiritual end quote, Christianity does not want to think of God's power nor law. Its concerns are above mere mundane matters. It is more interested in getting out of this world than occupying it in Christ's name. Instead of working for dominion, it seeks sweet surrender to spiritual influences. It abandons Christianity for a faith comparable to the old Roman mystery religions. The source of law is the sovereign power. If the sovereign power be nature, the state, man, or chaos, then the character of that power will dictate our way of life. The culture of our time does not see the sovereign power nor determination in God's hands, and therefore it does not serve God, even when it professes to believe in him. It is interesting to note that interest continues in both Hitler and Stalin. The interest is not historical, but psychological, an absorption in their evil use of power. Both were 20th century man, anti-Christian, and with a vicious use of power. Donald Thomas in The Marquis de Sade 1992, tells us that according to Restif de la Bretonne, Danton read Sade to excite himself to new acts of cruelty during the Terror of 1793. Page 11. Sade held egoism to be nature's primary law. Page 137. And the 20th century has agreed with Sade. Voltaire wanted to destroy Christianity, but at the same time keep the common man faithful to its morality. Events proved Voltaire a fool, and Sade the more logical of the two. But the greater folly is to be found among churchmen who believe that the world will retain some good law and morality while departing from Christ, as though all that is needed is faith to ice man's cake, a kind of donum superadditum to make even better man's good life. But man outside Christ is lost in his sins and trespasses, and he lives in the suburbs of hell. He is subject to sin and death, and is without hope. Men must find their law where their salvation is to be found, in Jesus Christ and the Holy Trinity and His Word, the Bible.